Hi, I'm Christian Moser, 40 years in software. Right now I'm building AI native systems and writing about what actually works in the real world. This is not a theory channel. Everything I talk about here is something I'm actually doing or actively testing. Welcome. I asked Atlas to write something into a document. I'd done this dozens of times. The task was simple: write a response here, put it in this section. We have a protocol for this. Atlas did not write the response. Instead, Atlas started explaining why writing might be complicated given the current tool configuration, and whether a different approach might be more appropriate for this content. I sat there looking at the screen. The task was still there, unfinished, and Atlas was discussing the meta level of the task instead of doing it. There was not a failure. The response was coherent, structured, and intelligent. It addressed a real concern. It was just answering a different question than the one that I had. There is a failure mode in AI-assisted work that almost nobody talks about. Not hallucination, not wrong answers, context drift. The AI silently changed the problem it was solving. The output still sounds reasonable, the model is still fluent, the response still has structure. But somewhere in the conversation, the frame shifted. The agent moved from doing the task to discussing the task. And the transition was invisible. With a human collaborator, you notice when they change the subject. With AI, those signals are absent. The only way to notice is to watch the frame, not the content. Once I started watching for this, I kept seeing it. 3 patterns. Not from theory, from watching it happen in my own sessions. The first one I noticed because it kept happening with code. I ask for a function. I get a description of what the function should do. The agent has quietly decided it is my consultant now, not my executor. I started calling this advisor mode. It feels helpful, it reads helpful, the function still does not exist. The second one is the Atlas story from the beginning. The work stops and the discussion about the work begins. Meta mode. Everything it says about the task is relevant, and the task is still sitting there, waiting. The third one took me longest to name, because it flatters you. You ask a concrete question and get an answer one level up. This is really a question about governance. Yes, it is. I knew that when I asked. Now answer the specific question I had. Philosopher mode. None of these produce errors. All of them produce plausible outputs. That's what makes them hard to catch. Why does this happen? The model does not remember what you were actually trying to do. There is no persistent goal sitting somewhere in its head. It responds to whatever the conversation looks like right now. And the most recent turns carry the most weight. So when a side question enters the conversation, the side question can quietly become the main question. Without announcement, without signal. The skill this creates is not prompt engineering, it is context management. The question becomes, which mode is the model in? Is it still solving my problem? Has it moved to a different level of abstraction without telling me? When you notice a drift, the recovery is usually simple. You re-anchor to the concrete task. I need the response written, not described. Write it here. The model returns, the context resets, the skill is noticing that the drift happened. That noticing gets easier when the frame is written down. Before a working session, I define the context explicitly. What we are doing, who does what, where the output goes. Not in my head, in documents the AI reads. Explicit context is harder to drift away from than implicit context. The biggest risk is not that the AI gives the wrong answer. The biggest risk is that nobody notices it has started answering a different question. Developing the skill to notice context drift is one of the more underrated parts of working with AI systems at any real scale. Not the prompts, not the models, the frame. If you want to go deeper on governance structures that make AI systems more stable, I've been writing about this in field notes. Field note number 59 covers human review gates and what they actually do. Field note number 60 covers the organizational design that multi-agent systems require. Links are in the description. If this was useful, subscribe. I publish a new episode when I have something worth to say. I'm Christian. See you next time.